Coming up next on KPBS Evening Edition, an analysis of pension reform says it could save San Diego nearly $1 billion, but there's a twist. There's no guarantee of those savings.
Tonight we dig a little deeper into the matter and we'll have reaction from mayoral candidates. KPBS Evening Edition starts now.
Hello, thanks for joining us. I'm Joanne Farian.
I'm Dwayne Brown.
More raids in the South Bay this morning, targeting the homes of two former Southwestern College officials. Investigators from the District Attorney's Office searched the homes of former board president Yolanda Salcido and former trustee Jorge Dominguez. The DA has been investigating claims that officials in the South Bay took gifts in exchange for their votes on construction contracts. Several officials with the Sweetwater Union High School District were charged with corruption earlier this year.
The debate over San Diego's pension reform initiative heated up this week with the release of the exact wording on the June ballot measure. It includes the city attorney's description of what the measure would do, as well as analysis of what those changes would save or cost the city. KPBS reporter Allison St. John joins us from the News Center with an update. Allison, you would think switching new hirees from a guaranteed pension to a 401k plan would save the city money, but that's not the case here. Why not?
Well, it turns out, Dwayne, that actually it will cost the city about $13 million over the next 30 years if the initiative passes. That's partly because of more administrative costs to change the plan and more death and disability arrangements that currently the employees qualify for. They'd have to get a new plan, and also because of the amount that the employee contribution would be 9.2%. So it turns out that actually where the savings are coming from is the other part of this initiative, which is freezing the pensionable pay. And the pensionable pay is the salary, the base salary on which your pension is based.
Okay, so freezing pensionable pay, as you described it, will actually save the city almost $1 billion?
Well, maybe and maybe not, Dwayne. This is the thing. The city attorney's analysis reveals that really this may or may not happen because legally you cannot bypass meet and confer, even if it gets through labor negotiations. It could still be superseded by a two-thirds vote of the council. So even that part of the initiative can't really be guaranteed, and that leaves all the savings up in the air.
All right, we're going to leave it there. KPBS reporter Allison St. John. Now for political reaction to the pension analysis, Joanne and her guests are at the Evening Edition Roundtable.
For reaction on the pension reform analysis, we're joined by San Diego City Council member Carl DeMaio, who helped lead the pension reform campaign, and Congressman and San Diego mayoral candidate Bob Filner. He joins us by phone from Washington, D.C. Now, Congressman Filner is the only one of the top 4 mayoral candidates to oppose the measure. And I want to begin with you, first of all, Councilmember DeMaio. Now, the analysis states, first of all, on the 401k part of this initiative, that it actually won't save the city money over the next 30 years. It will cost the city. It will actually cost the city money. Your reaction?
Well, the ballot measure as a whole saves billions of dollars, and even adding as much watered-down analysis to the savings, the IBA confirms that it saves $960 million. We believe the 401k actually will be saving money from day one. Every element of this ballot measure saves money, and the IBA took the worst-case scenario. For example, she did not penalize any of the vesting schedule that most corporations have of 3 years or 5 years. She started her vesting on day one. That's simply very generous. Also, she assumes the maximum contributions, and she assumes no savings from investment losses in the defined benefit pension plan. So we believe that it's very conservative and understates the savings.
Congressman Filner, I want you to get in on this conversation now. Now, you have opposed this measure all along. Your reaction to this analysis?
Well, it shows, one, that it cost almost $100 million over the first 5 years for us to transition to a new system. And the system itself is unfair because it says that employees who do not have Social Security are subject to the stock market casino. That's just wrong. But it doesn't save a nickel. The referendum itself does not save a nickel. All the savings are predicated on a pay raise of 0% for the next 5 years for employees. That is subject to negotiation with the employees. You cannot decide that in the referendum, and it's doubtful that it'll ever be zero for 5 years in a row. So it's a fraud, if I could put it the most charitably. It doesn't save a nickel. It costs $100 million. It's unfair, and there are better ways to get money into the general fund budget and save money.
I want to toss this over to you, Councilmember DeMaio, but first of all, I want to read a statement from the San Diego City Attorney because it speaks to what the Congressman has just said. Now, this is from Jan Goldsmith, the San Diego City Attorney, in terms of his independent analysis on this ballot measure. Now, here's what he says. He says, the passage of the measure by itself does not automatically guarantee that employees' base compensation will be frozen for 5 years. Now, this is the part that saves the $963 million. The measure sets the city's initial bargaining position in labor negotiations with respect to employees' base compensation. However, these proposed terms can be overridden by a vote of at least 6 city council members. So this ballot measure, even if people say, yes, we're going to pass this, it doesn't mean that pensionable earnings will be frozen for 5 years.
Well, certainly that is the solution that I have put on the table, is to cap pensionable pay for 5 years so that we can pay down the debt. The ballot measure has to comply with state labor law, which is why we allow for a supermajority override. But I will tell you this. The reason why I'm running for mayor and the reason why I'm supporting certain council candidates is so that we never are put in a position where politicians override the most important element of this ballot measure, which is capping pensionable pay. The measure also does 2 other important things that the IBA did not assess for cost savings. First, it requires full and fair contributions by city employees. They will have to pay their full legally allowable share, and that saves $25 million a year. Second, we also
Congressman Filner says that you do that now.
We also end pension spiking, which is where city employees add bonus pays, add-on pays, specialty pays to spike their pension. That's very costly, and yet the IBA did not include those savings in her assessment. But even with all those exclusions, it saves $960 million over the course of time, and that's important.
So I want to toss this out to both of you now, and I'll let Congressman Filner go first, that even with this ballot measure, do you think that the voters are getting the information? I mean, in terms of this analysis, the $963 million, I think we've all agreed here that this is subject to negotiation, even if this ballot measure is passed. Do you think voters know what this ballot measure means?
No, because Mr. DeMaio and all those who support it are not telling the truth. For example, all the horror stories that Mr. DeMaio raises about $250,000 pensions, these are all management employees who get phony pay raises their last year and bonuses. It spikes their pension to twice sometimes what their salary is. They don't need a referendum to handle that. As first day of mayor, I will put a cap on pensions. No 6-figure pensions. No 6-figure pensions.
We're running out of...
There's only the management that has them anyway. The average trash collector and 911 operator gets about $27,000.
We're running out of time. I want you to have a chance to respond.
Sure. Look, I've had to deal with this opposition for 7 years. First, when I started shining a light on the pension crisis and uncovering it, they said there was no crisis. Don't believe him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Now, as we move forward and we figured out how to actually reform pensions and close down the pension system, end pension spiking, move to 401ks, they're still making the same tired, false claims that it doesn't save money or that somehow it's not fair. This is important that San Diegans adopt this ballot measure so we can end our fiscal crisis and move forward.
I want to make sure we all have equal time. Congressman Filner, you've got 20 seconds, the last word.
It doesn't do anything about the debt or our annual payment, because this is for new hires. We probably won't have any new hires after they see the pension system, but he does nothing. Does nothing for the debt that we have or the annual payment. I have a plan which, in fact, does both. This is a fraud.
I'm going to have to leave it there. Congressman Filner, thank you so much, and Council Member Carl DeMaio, thanks for being here. We also spoke to mayoral candidate, San Diego District Attorney Bonnie Dumanis, and State Assembly member Nathan Fletcher for their reaction to the pension reform analysis. Here's what they had to say. Let's begin with Bonnie Dumanis. She says the analysis also shows why our next mayor needs to have the proven ability to make tough decisions, work with the city council and labor organizations to actually implement pension reform. We need real reform with real savings that's really going to stick, and that's what I will deliver as San Diego's next mayor. And now mayoral candidate Nathan Fletcher, who says the IBA validated that CPR will save the city hundreds of millions of dollars over the next 30 years. This great news for taxpayers who have made it clear we must reform the pension system.
San Diegans are being urged to support military veterans when they file their state tax returns this year. One program that would benefit has been operating in Chula Vista for the past 12 years. The flag outside this facility in San Diego South Bay says it best. Prisoners of war and those missing in action won't be forgotten. Nor will those inside the only state-funded home for veterans in San Diego County. Retired Navy Captain Steve Milliken served 28 years.
Every need I have here is taken care of through very skilled nursing assistants and nurses. Medicines are provided for me. Therapy is provided for me. It's an ideal situation. I'm very grateful to be part of it.
Milliken has been here almost 7 years and has a unique perspective. As a volunteer, he helped raise funds for the facility and never imagined it would one day become his home.
They kind of expedited my admission here, and it wasn't long before I was a resident.
The Chula Vista State Veterans Home serves 312 residents, both men and women, who primarily served during World War II and the Korean War. 86-year-old Kenneth Campen served in the Marines as a communication specialist who spoke 8 languages. But a stroke eventually led him to seek care here.
I can converse with people who I can communicate with, and I talk to dozens of people here every day, and I'm perfectly happy here.
Assemblyman Nathan Fletcher and County Supervisor Greg Cox urged San Diegans to support programs like this when they file their state tax return. Money donated to the California Veterans Homes Fund will benefit 6 campuses like this one in the state, helping pay for additional needs such as therapy equipment and peaceful settings like this rehab garden. The Chula Vista facility has a 5-star rating for its nursing care. The state plans to open 2 new veterans' homes in the next few years. The federal government has a program designed to help low-income families, but tax officials say a lot of eligible families aren't taking advantage of it, and they're leaving millions of dollars on the table. The story in just a moment. And we'll have a look at one woman's journey documenting the lives of children in juvenile hall. This is KPBS Evening Edition.
I'm Judy Woodruff. On the next news hour, the Supreme Court considers the death penalty for teenagers, plus education as a national security issue. That's Tuesday on the PBS NewsHour.
Dr. Martin Ellingham is a new dad.
Still no name.
Albert. Terry. And he's taking to it with his usual grace.
Jiggle him up and down a bit.
He wants to leave Port Wend. And Louisa wants to stay.
It's a little bit complicated. Recipe for disaster.
But with a baby, Doc has a new outlook on life.
No, I don't.
Martin Clues stars as...
Could you take the baby, please?
That's not our baby.
Doc Martin.
Watch new episodes, part of a season premiere event, March 29th at 8 on KPBS.
In the last year, KPBS News has been honored with nearly 36 awards. I'm extremely proud of these honors, and I thank you for your support as we continue to serve our local communities with award-winning news coverage in the years to come.
KPBS Evening Edition is made possible by Joan and Erwin Jacobs and by
The tax filing deadline next month is a source of extra stress for some, but for low-income earners in the know, this is potentially a season for celebration. KPBS reporter Allison St. John tells us about a federal program to rescue families from poverty that often leaves millions of unclaimed tax dollars on the table.
It's a weekday morning, and this community center in Vista is quietly buzzing with activity. No one here earns much, but they're all dutifully filing their taxes.
You're getting a little money back here.
No, more than a little.
Yeah.
We can't wait. We can't wait for the tax season to come because, we know we're going to have a relief coming.
Luisa and Arturo Cuellar have 4 children and earn about $35,000 a year between them. They've just learned they qualify for more than $8,000 in child and earned income tax credits.
First, we pay off everybody we borrowed money from, and then we pay all our bills off, and then whatever we have left over, we do something special with the kids.
So if you didn't have this tax credit, what difference would that make to your life?
My God, we would be in debt the rest of our life. We would just accumulate debt every year, and we'd probably have to have maxed out credit cards and probably eventually, you know, file bankruptcy.
I think a lot of very low-income families especially, this is how they pay their rent for the rest of the year. I mean, I definitely have known of families that we've been working with that have been able to go out and get their own apartment and move out of shelters.
Samantha Betanzas of North County Lifeline, a non-profit social service agency, says the money doesn't just benefit the individual who files. Last year, this program generated $1.7 million in earned income tax credits for 900 North County residents, who then spent that money in the community.
It makes a big difference. My wife's going to be ecstatic.
Jose Perez was unable to work for much of last year because of an illness.
We're going to get about $4,000 this year, and it's going to help us a lot because of we're going to use it to put into a fund for my boy going to college.
One of the volunteer tax preparers is Tony Perez, an accounting student at Cal State San Marcos.
But just remember in the future that you can receive credit.
Okay.
It's memorable. I mean, most of these people, last week I had a lady that came in. She was expecting to pay taxes. But when I broke down her return, explained to her that she was going to receive a refund, including that she qualified for the earned income tax credit, she was just very happy. She was grateful.
The Earned Income Tax Credit is one of the most important programs to help keep families out of poverty. But about 20% of the people who qualify don't claim it. In fact, in San Diego County, it's estimated more than $70 million goes unclaimed.
I don't think people quite understand what it is. This is not money that people have paid into the IRS. This is money that the government, or the IRS, I should say, is giving clients or taxpayers for working and having a very low wage.
Statewide, it's estimated that more than $1 billion of earned income tax credit that could have benefited low-income earners went unclaimed. But people on the edge of poverty are more likely to claim the tax credit than food stamps. Only about a third of the people in San Diego who qualify for food aid actually get it.
For the earned income tax credit, all you have to do is just really provide your income information in your tax return, and you automatically qualify for it. For food stamps, you have to go through an extended process of application, and sometimes there's a stigma behind it as well too. When you're at the counter, you're paying food stamps, and sometimes people will get embarrassed of it. But no one knows if you get income tax credit or not. I mean, again, it's included in your tax return.
And also the way it's marketed. It is marketed as something it's for families that work hard that just aren't making it. Whereas food stamps is seen more as a handout, a welfare program.
You could try to get it done today if you want. You want to sign it on the docket?
20% of the people who qualify for this thing don't apply for it. Why do you think that is?
Oh, they're crazy. I don't know why they don't do that. I mean, it's a lot of money that they're just throwing away, and you don't get it back. I mean, the IRS will, they'll haunt you for years trying to get their money, but if you don't file, you don't get it back.
That story from KPBS reporter Allison St. John. A report by the New America Foundation estimates more than $1 billion in earned income tax credits went unclaimed in California. It could have generated more than 8,000 jobs. One warning note, not all tax credits are above board. The IRS recently warned of a scam where low earners are lured into filing for bogus credits. Beware of tax preparers who promise refunds with no documentation required, charge exorbitant upfront fees, or want to split the refund when it comes. The Volunteer Income Tax Assistance, or VITA program, featured in our story, offers free tax preparation and requires documented proof of earnings. Today, the U.S. Supreme Court began hearing testimony in 2 homicide cases, testing whether it's cruel and unusual punishment to sentence a 14-year-old to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In 2005, the Supreme Court struck down the death penalty for juveniles, declaring kids are different from adults. In San Diego, one woman has spent the last year and a half documenting the lives of kids in juvenile hall. She joins Joanne at the roundtable to talk about what she learned.
San Diego photojournalist Susan Madden Langford spent 18 months in San Diego Juvenile Hall getting to know the kids who many people think are beyond repair. She came out of the experience with the belief that one good enough someone can make a huge difference in their lives. She's here to talk about the book of photographs and personal essays she published. Born Not Raised, Voices from Juvenile Hall tells the often heartbreaking stories of children who have been failed by their families and by the system. Susan, thanks for being here. I want to start off with good enough someone. What does that mean?
When I did work with Dr. Diane Campbell, following the year and a half that Polly, my daughter, and I were in the hall doing our interviews, I worked with Diane and we created the timeline for the book. And at the same time, she showed me places where the children are very, very vulnerable. They haven't had the bedrock, the good stuff of early childhood development. But she said, if you have a good enough someone through the educational system, through an aunt, an uncle, brother, sister, anyone who can step in if you're suffering from horrific alienation, abuse, neglect, that type of thing, that can carry you through.
The timeline. Now, the timeline is the beginning of the book. Tell me more about that.
That's correct. The timeline is to show that from birth to the age of 20, the various developmental things that take place with kids. And you don't even realize from 0 to 2 the importance of what's going on with the young kid. And what can take place at the age of 2 if tantrums are not worked out and they are carried forward to the age of 5, then you have a youth that is entering into the school grade and very disruptive, and all of a sudden someone says, oh, he's got ADHD. What it really is it's behavior that was missed when he was 2 to 3.
Now, we want to show the people at home some of these photos, and then let us know, explain them for us, because they're not just your regular photos. There are other meanings and reasons as to why we're seeing what we're seeing. So let's start with the first one now and tell us what we're seeing.
We're seeing one of the cells that's at the Kearny Mesa facility.
And there's nobody in this picture. How come?
Confidentiality. We weren't permitted to take cameras in. So I created photographs, and I took the photographs into the hall, and I asked the kids to write, what does this mean to you? How do you feel? In some cases, as we're seeing right now, where one kiddo is showing that guns and anger and horrific violence that takes place in the streets. So this is a Crip who's shooting a blood. So it's gang behavior, and he just popped that one out drawing.
So if we get the next one up now, what are we seeing?
This was actually taken, we did not take this, well, we took the image, but it wasn't until we did our documentary film. It's more expensive to do nothing. And we went back into the hall. At that time, we were permitted to go ahead and to bring video work as well as do stills. So these are the kids at their exercise time out in the yard.
And the next one?
This was a special drawing that was done by a gal we call Sands in the book. She had actually played Russian roulette with her mother's head. So she was incarcerated, and it was going to be for a good period of time, supposedly. She had acting out problems. She was in our girls' rehab facility meeting sessions that we had with 8 to 12 girls, and she actually had a very, very powerful personality. When she was removed and sent back home, and we'd been there long enough that we experienced that, we were able to go to her home. She was miserable at home. She reoffended to go back to the facility because the facility was becoming her family.
And this picture that she drew, a teardrop falling from an eye.
There was a lot of sadness in her life and a lot of neglect, a lot of abuse. Her mother was basically acting as a teenager with her. And it was hard for Sands. And she loved the relationship that she had with Polly and with me and with the other girls. So that became more comfortable because there was some learning. A lot of these kids are very teachable.
When you get a picture like that, when you ask a girl to draw something and you get that, how does that make you feel?
Lost. One of the reasons why we wanted to do this book, we want people to see who these kids are. We want them to understand the trauma that they have sustained in their lives. Plus the fact that I had visited with a lot of their mothers, and I had, in my book, May is My Sweet Potatoes Women Doing Time. A lot of these kids are products of the women who were incarcerated in the local jail.
What do you want people to know? What do you want them to take away when they see your book from this project?
These kids can be saved. Not all of them. There are 8% of these kids that are not as salvageable. They are serious felons. There are serious felons that are coming down from DJJ very soon, too. And those are kids that really are going to be locked away for the rest of their life. But we are right now creating another pipeline for prison. And we can't afford it. We can afford to help these kids and to be volunteers and be active and take on some of these kids, find that sparkle in them. give them a little something positive, not have them oppressed with this alienation and with the hardship that they have. They've lost the ability to have any confidence in school, so they're truant. They're on drugs. They're living the same life that they've seen their parents live.
Susan Madden Langford, thank you for being here. Do you have a website or a place people can go to find out more about your book and this project?
Absolutely. It's going to be in Barnes & Noble, this particular book. It's on Amazon.com. It's on BarnesandNoble.com presently. I'll be at Warwick's on April 21st doing book signing. And my website is humaneexposures.com.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
It's your economy,
your health,
your environment,
your country,
and it's your choice for president. Need to Know, covering the issues that matter to you most.
Watch Need to Know, Friday night at 8:30 on KPBS.
I love KPBS because when I wake up in the morning and that radio station goes on, 89.5 goes on, I know that I am going to get information that I can trust, that I can respect, that I can value, and I know I'm getting the truth.
Coming up on Finding Your Roots, lifelong friends Harry Connick Jr. and Branford Marsalis embark on a search for their ancestors.
It's almost impossible to believe that they were here during that time. Wow, I never saw that before.
Finding Your Roots.
Sunday at 8 on KPBS.
Welcome back to the Public Square on KPBS Evening Edition. A few weeks ago, we introduced you to a San Diego man who joined a local Syrian club to socialize, but later found himself pleading for help for his family in his homeland. Yasser Al-Sayed told us he had not been a political activist or even in regular contact with his extended family in Syria. But all that changed when protests began against Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Last week, Yasser traveled to Washington, D.C. to join a rally in front of the White House, commemorating the one-year anniversary of the Syrian Revolution. He sent us this video. According to Yasser, a few thousand people from across the country joined him in protest, and together they collected more than $1 million for the humanitarian aid to Syria. Well, you can join this conversation by following us on Twitter. Tell us what you think. You can like us on Facebook. And, of course, you can always send me an email, jferrian@kpbs.org. And now let's go back to Dwayne at the news desk for a recap of tonight's top stories.
The homes of two former Southwestern College officials were raided today by the district attorney's office. Investigators have been looking into charges elected officials in the South Bay accepted gifts for votes on construction projects. San Diego's city attorney says there's no guarantee of savings from Proposition B, the pension reform initiative. Jan Goldsmith says it depends on whether city unions agree to a freeze on pensionable salaries, and the city council could approve a raise. And San Diegans are being urged to give back this tax season to those who've dedicated themselves to military service. The State Veterans Home Fund is asking people to make donations through their state income tax returns. There are 6 state-funded veterans homes in California, 1 in Chula Vista. You can watch and comment on any of the stories you saw tonight on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. You have a great night.